Good evening and salutations, my Y&R fans. Let's start off with Billy and Lily. So yeah, it's the end of the road. It is the end of the road. And here's a couple of things as maybe a disclaimer. I don't know the full relationship of Billy and Lily. I don't know what kind of faults that Billy brings to the table. And I've seen, not just my own comment section, but just, in when I'm watching like clips or whatever, of people bashing Billy left and right like he is the worst thing on this planet. So I just want people to understand that I'm coming in this as someone who's only been watching the show for about a year. Okay. I don't know who's at fault in this relationship. I don't know how rough it was, who made it rough, or anything like that. With that being said, let me get this straight. Y'all went to one therapy session, and at that point, it was a wrap. I mean, why even bother to sit there and spend the money to do it if you weren't going to sit there and see it through? But at this point, to be fair, she pretty much just like, we need some time apart. We need it to be done. In all reality, the fact that she said, we need some time apart, just break out with him. What is this we need some time apart crap? Just break out with him. She practically wanted to break out right then and there. And in reality, Billy should just be like, you know what? Let's not even bother with a break. Let's just break up and just be done with it. But yeah. She's like, yeah, it's over. I'm done. I'm tired of everything hurting so much and all this other stuff. She just wanted to be done. And finally, Billy was like, you know what? Okay, fine. Because he got to a point. He's like, he just stopped fighting it. He just stopped fighting it. He tried to make it work in his own way by not giving up, by trying to tell her not to give up, by sitting there going to couples counseling. He tried. But the minute that she said it was hurting too much, he was like, you know what? Listen, this is never what I came into your life for. I never want to sit there and hurt you. So if this is hurting you, the best thing for me to do is stop the pain by just stop trying to make this work. So, he talked about it for a little bit. He was feeling kind of guilty because Lily is going through it, okay? Between the fact that she's lost so many people as far as work, Nate, Audra, she's going through a lot. And she's constantly getting blowback and pushback from Devon about this IPO thing. Um, she's going through a lot and she's handling it by herself. She's busy. She got a lot on her plate, okay? Now she has to sit there and get a call from Jill to find out that Devon wants to take back his side of the company. So she rushes over there and she is mad. I gotta sit there and try to remember what words I can and can't use. And to be honest, even when I try to use the right words, they still want up. I still gotta sit there and want up having them review my videos. But whatever. She comes over there and she's mad. She's like, yo, how come you didn't tell me? This, that, and the third. And you know what? Devon says something that I was just like, bro, you should have said that from the beginning. He never felt comfortable about sharing the company because he felt like he would lose too much control. And he didn't want to lose control like that. He didn't want to do it in the first place. The idea of him doing it was to sit there and leave a legacy for the kids and the next generation. But all that stuff that's been going on between Audra, Nate, and this IPO thing that he really didn't want to do, he was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. And of course, she was like, you're trying to hurt my company. You're trying to threaten us and stuff like that. And he was just like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I'm not changing my mind. And then Lily's like, oh, you're no better off than Nate. What? He's not trying to sit there and secretly steal her side of the company or anything like that. Oh, no, no, no. I mean, you're like Victor. Yeah, you're like Victor. Hmm. He was like, all right, whatever. Now Chance and Sharon are just hanging out at the coffee place, talking about the next meal they're gonna sit there and try. And Abby just sits there and sees that from the distance, and she's like not happy. So she walks up over there, and she's like, the way she walked over there, like with a bit of an attitude, I was like, bro, you better not say anything. You better not have anything to say. You better not even feel guilty. I mean, and jealous, because you don't even have a right to feel jealous at all. But she comes over there and she's like, hey, I need to talk to you alone. And she's like, I'm moving out. And Chance is like, oh, okay, so you're moving out so you can sit there and continue knocking boots with Devon, right? That's not what he said, but she was like, no, I'm not trying to move on. The ink hasn't been dried yet. Why would you even sit there and think of that? It's like, do you really think I would do something like that? And he was like, I don't know what you would do. I don't know you anymore. He was like, I don't even know you anymore after what you did. And he was like, I don't want you to sit there and move it out on my account. Long story short, she agrees to stay for Dom, which is honestly stupid. Because she doesn't feel comfortable in the house. She doesn't feel like a chance anymore. She feels like she's a total stranger in that house. So I'm like, just move out. What you think staying there is going to be best for Dom? You think the tension between y'all two is going to be best for him? Come on, use your head. This is something that always annoys me. When people sit there and say, I want to stay together for the kids. I want to stay together for the kids. No, 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 no. Because you're not doing the kids any service. You're not doing the kids service. Actually, to tell you the truth, in a lot of ways, you're doing a disservice. First of all, kids are a lot smarter than you think. Second of all, they learn. Okay? And growing up in a very dysfunctional place, a dysfunctional house, and seeing how their parents had to sit there and practically lie to each other to keep everything going, to make sure that the kids were happy, so they lied and pretended that everything was fine and weren't fine. They follow that pattern through life, with their relationships. And then when their parents sit there and ask their kids, why are you not happy in your relationship? I don't understand. Well, they're not happy because they learn from you. It's just something that just always drove me up a wall. Every time they would sit there and say, I'm staying together for the kids. I'm doing it to sit there and keep a stable house. Like your kids, you didn't raise morons. You raised hopefully smart, healthy, kids. And the problem with that, well, not really the problem, is that sometimes they're too smart and they pick up on things. And they pick up on things even at an age you don't think that they will. But whatever. They decide to stay together. And then she comes back to Devon, and Devon's like, I'm happy to see you. And she's all like, oh, I don't want to feel like every time, you see me, you're just happy because, or like lying or something like that. I forgot what kind of BS that she used, but pretty much they just wound up hugging. And I was just like, just live with him. Just live with him. Oh, and also, Chance did go off on her. He was like, yo, listen, you're spending every waking day there. And he just went off. He did apologize to Sharon. But Sharon was like, nah, it's cool. You need to sit there and blow off some steam. I understand. You know? I'm like, you could probably be a little upset. I mean, somebody sit there having their coffee and they're drinking their coffee, their latte, and you hear a bunch of yelling and shouting and screaming. I mean, granted, it wasn't like that bad. But let's put it this way. I know what it's like when I wake up and I need that latte. And by the way, my favorite latte, a Starbucks, is cinnamon dolce latte. It's like it just gives me this energy, this. I can't even describe it, but especially that first sip. Oh, and then to have that ruined because two adults can't sit there and I don't know go somewhere else to iron out their marital problems. Nah, I'm gonna be upset. Okay, I'm not gonna be happy about that. I'm not gonna sit there and ruin my mood, especially before I gotta go to work. No, 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 no. Um, but now Chance to sit there backtracking and thinking everything he did wrong. Oh, I shouldn't have left to Spain. I shouldn't have did this. I shouldn't have did that. I mean, I'm not upset with him. I'm not bored with it. It's one of those things where it's like, it sucks. You start reevaluating your life, and you start blaming yourself, thinking about what you could have did wrong, and in the end, it doesn't matter. This is the one thing. And granted, I can sit there and say this, but I've done this, and I've been, I've done this before. But unless you have a DeLorean, you ain't gonna sit there and fix the mistakes you past. There's no point in sitting there blaming yourself for stuff that you didn't see coming. Um, Victor comes over there. He tries to sit there and see what's going on with Chelsea, but she's not really budging too much. And he comes over there and he's very genuine. He's like, "Yo, listen, no matter what you're going through, we got you. Me and Nikki are there for Connor and whatever you need, we're there for you. If you need to step away, we got you." Adam comes over there and Adam is just like, "You need to leave now." Like he walked in, he was like, "What the?" Like he was really like, "What are you doing here?" Victor just left because he was like, "You know what? I'm not gonna sit there and argue with you in front of her in her house and stuff like that." Are they gonna do something about that door, by the way? I mean, it's a nice place, but they need to do something about that door. I'm just saying. I mean, that door is that door hasn't been white in probably 3 decades. You might want to sit there and think about fixing the door. Just get a new door. Okay, it's not even. It's actually a nice place. You just need to fix the door. Like, as in, just get another door. Um, Adam comes over and Chelsea's like, um, you know, Victor made me see things clearly, and um, she talks about a time that Victor helped her escape some murder charges or some charges or whatever. Anyway, she's like, listen, I'm tired or whatever. I just need some time to breathe and process or whatever. And Victor is with Nikki, and they're worried about Chelsea and trying to get to the bottom of it, and want to make sure she's okay, because when she goes off the rails, she goes completely off the rails. And then Adam comes over and he basically was like, "You need to back away from my family. You need to sit there and leave them alone. My family will not be under your thumb." Now, again, I've only been watching this show for a year, and I've heard stories that Victor could be manipulative and, treat Adam like crap, and, his love comes with conditions and things of that nature. I don't doubt that. But I wasn't there to see all that stuff. So I don't have an emotional background as far as watching Adam and really understanding his side. It's the same thing with Phyllis. I've heard like when I sit there and say she's done some bad things, she's done some real bad things. And I know there's a lot of people, it's like, "Oh, well, Diane is sitting there playing people, and, Jack is a fool, and Jack should be sitting there taking Diane's side, and I hope Diane goes down." And I get all that, but I'm like, she hasn't done anything since she's gotten back. She hasn't done anything since she's gotten back. But you have these women that have been holding on to a grudge for multiple decades. Okay? So when I see this, I'm just like, I'm thinking that this is just stupid. But again, I'm only coming into this a year in. Now, after he says what he says, Victor's like, "Yo, listen, we need, he basically is like, he's going to be trying to plot his downfall. He needs a wake up call." And long story short, Victor's like, "Yeah, I'm tired of his mouth. I'm tired of his disrespect. And I'm not dealing with it anymore." And I don't know. I feel like, here's the thing. I feel like with Victor, when it comes towards Adam and Adam starts mouthing off at Victor and stuff like that, maybe it's Victor's upbringing. I remember a conversation he had with Jack and Victor's upbringing. Let's put it this way. Victor's upbringing must have seemed pretty hard. He called his dad all sorts of names. And maybe it's the idea that his dad was a real POS to him and his mother. And so I guess, and the idea, always the idea is that you want to be better than your parents in some ways. If your parents are crap, you want to sit there and be better. And maybe, I guess he just kind of looks at it like, this level of disrespect is unheard of. You know, I've had it much harder growing up dealing with a horrible, horrible dad, and I'm giving you the best in the world, and this is the thanks I'm getting. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I'm just, sometimes I like to sit there and play devil's advocate, and I'm just trying to piece together of where, trying to see it from Victor's point of view. Because I know everyone, it's very easy to sit there and see stuff from Adam's point of view. Very easy. Sometimes I feel like it may be too easy. And I always like to sit there and try to look at both sides. I'm not necessarily saying Adam is wrong for how he's feeling. I'm just always like to try to look at different points of view. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I kind of feel like that's about it, or at least the main points that I want to sit there and talk about. All in all, I would sit there and say it was a good episode. It was a good episode. It's very interesting ranking these shows when it, just from my point of view when I'm sitting there looking at it as a reviewer, because I know a lot of times, like even in my GH review, I did a live stream. I was like, yo, it was like Monday. I was like, Monday's GH episode was crap. Okay, it was terrible, and people made excuses left and right. It's a Monday. Sometimes these episodes are starting off slow, and they build up in pace. And my whole thing is that people listening to saying that practically that we got to give the writers in the show a bit of slack because they are doing tons of different storylines, and not every episode is going to be great. And it's a new year, and it's a Monday, and it starts so slow, and just all these different excuses. Okay, and I remember I wound up doing a video. I wound up doing a live stream, and I said, when did the average became the norm? When did a slow episode became acceptable? Because I tell you this much: if I was a person that was just started watching soap operas and I saw Monday's episode of GH, I'm like, what are people saying in the show? Nothing happened. This is boring. I don't want to watch this anymore. I only watched one episode. This is the best that they had. And see, I'm always a person that tries to put your best foot forward, you know? And I understand that even from my standpoint, even from me, now I don't always think that I'm going to sit there and make a great review or a great live stream. Okay? I know that. And so I understand that sometimes soap operas may falter to some extent. It may not be that good. But sometimes I feel like they don't even bother to try to make it that good. And people just accept it. And I just maybe I'm looking at this a little bit differently also. Because when I'm sitting there looking at these episodes, I don't just look at it from a fan's point of view. Okay? I'm just sitting there, laying down, watching TV, eat my big ice cream, which I'm gonna get another one. Chocolate, of course. Until I find something else I like. My point is, I'm not just sitting down, just watching it and just kind of chilling. Where it's like, I'm not giving an opinion. I'm not saying, well, this was this and that was that. Maybe if I was in a position when I was just watching it, I might not be so harsh on it. I don't know. Maybe I would. Who knows? Maybe if I was sitting there talking to my friends about it and I was sitting there giving my opinions, I might be a little more harsh on it. Not just as a reviewer, but just as just talking to someone, like talking with my friends about it. Um, but like I said, this episode was good. With this being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video. It's been a while since I actually did like practically a 20-minute video. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video, or the next live stream, or both.